say that that accounts for the human face that the creature has in this region, but I can tell you that no, too many tribes have said this has occurred. So, some of the more unusual things that we've seen is that there's a story that goes around, this is a drawing by Harvey, that in the Blue Creek region in the early 70s, this guy was there and he saw a female Bigfoot with an infant. We sat with the guy for almost 2 hours to get this right. But he said, yeah, you know, it looked at me, I looked at it, it looked at me, I looked at it, and he goes, I just knew not to take my eyes off of it. And he goes, I took it away for a second and it dashed. But this was the only time we've actually ever seen an infant with a female. Now, one of the things that I don't read much about, and I think I've read just about every book in existence, is a color change that Bigfoot may go through. And the thinking is that some kids, when they're born and they're young, we call them towheads. They have a blonde head, and as they get older, their hair color darkens. We think that Bigfoot may go through this cycle as well, and the reason being is that we've talked to many witnesses who describe a biped that they observe as between 4.5 feet tall and 6 feet tall, slender in appearance, and it has a golden color, just like a golden retriever. Now, this was seen right outside of Hyuchi by a woman in the community as she was driving down to the coast one day. And the first time we heard this, we thought, wow, like a golden retriever. Oh, even more golden, David. It was really gold. But the unique part was, she says, you know, I'm afraid that people won't believe me because it wasn't big and bulky like the other Bigfoot people have described. This one was thin, frail, and very timid. Well, it just so happened that 2 days later, we're in another community about 60 miles away, people unknown to each other, and this woman describes a frail, thin, golden-colored Bigfoot, very timid, shy, and polite. I said, So we started to talk about this. Say, okay, what's the commonality? Slender, frail, 4.5 to 6 feet tall, and timid. Some of the other Bigfoots hold their ground and stand there and stare at you. This one walks away, bows its shoulders, won't look at the eye, kind of timid, walks away. We've kind of come to the summary that we believe that this thing, as it grows older, it fills out just like a man would. And so this is probably teenage years. As it's getting its height, it still hasn't filled out. It's in that change of life segment, and it's changing those colors. And until we started to do this, and we talked to more and more people, this is a pretty common occurrence. We've never drawn a Bigfoot where it's 7 feet tall or 8 feet tall and 800 pounds and golden in color, ever. It's always this frail, small, thin. Now, we've also drawn them where they're 7.5 feet tall and thin and gray, that falls in line with an aging Bigfoot who's going into frailty and into their older years. So we're building a dossier and an understanding that I don't think has ever been presented before anywhere. And I think that the research is grounded based on the interpretation from people on behavior, on physicality, on color, etc. Any questions as I go along here?
So you think they're part human?
I think they have distinct human qualities. Yes, sir.
I understood on the Patterson film that there was actually 2 other Sasquatches and a child in the bush. Zeroed in on.
I've heard that. I have not seen that.
No, I know.
I've heard all kinds of things about that film.
Those are blob squatches.
So, one instance in the Hoopa Project, there's a story about a group of kids playing in a yard. And as they're playing in the yard, they see something walk across a field very close to them, and this thing is standing next to a berry bush, and very gently, and everybody says this when they see this, picking the berries off one at a time, not damaging the bush, but picking them off, getting a handful, eating them very gently, and pulling them off, looking, pulling, and eating. turns out that this thing had been seen by these kids over the course of a few days, and the mother happened to come out and see it, and so we had a real good perspective of what this thing would look like. And after doing the sketches, they described it as not being old, not being young. They guessed it to be like a 12, 13, 14-year-old kid in that type of age bracket. This is the sketch of the face that Harvey did of that. Now, Harvey has this unique ability, and if you can understand this, because he's done thousands and thousands of sketches, he can age progress somebody. So you take a kid that's abducted and he wants to look and see what the kid looks like 20 years later as an adult. He has the ability to age progress it. In Tribal, we age progressed a Bigfoot from infant to adult based on the amount of sketches we've done. It's unique. But one thing Harvey did that I think is the most unique thing you will see anywhere is he also has the ability to take a sketch of, let's say, an adult who commits an armed robbery. And the person who committed the robbery has a full beard. And you think, hey, somebody saw me, so I'm going to go home and shave my beard. Harvey has that ability to take the beard off and show you what the creature looks like, or what the robber looked like without the beard, right? So a couple of guys and I are sitting around one day and said, hey Dave, let's do this. How about if we take the hair off that Patterson Gimlin creature? No one's ever done that we knew of. So Harvey said, Dave, that's an interesting idea. So what we did is we took some of the color transparencies that we got off Patricia Patterson, again, that nobody's seen yet, and Harvey drew a sketch of what the Patterson Gimlin creature would look like. And so this is the close-up sketch that Harvey drew of Patty in the Patterson Gimlin footage. Now,
Could I get that one?
yeah. So, this is the first time you've ever shown this at an event, and Harvey said, Dave, I'll stake my reputation on this, so go ahead and show it. And this is what emanated from that sketch. This is what the Patterson Gimlin creature looks like.
Ancient man.
Yeah, ancient man.
Doesn't look like an ape, does it?
No.
A Native American, exactly. Thank you. So,
Can I get one more shot of that? Sorry, I'm sorry.